Hi everyone, just before I get into the actual main video, I have a question for you which we're going to cover later. Reveal something very interesting to you, particularly if you're in Australia doing in the hobby of metal detecting. How many florins, I got that wrong, how many sovereigns and half sovereigns have you found lately? I want you to think about that and we'll touch on that later. Alright guys, well, this is my explanation of how I worked out the Australian pre-decimal coins and what they were worth with the money of that time. So a £1 note was worth 20 shillings. The other important information that I found out was that 1 shilling was worth 12 pennies or 12 pence. The other important thing that I had to find out was 1 florin. Florin, how much was that worth? Well, 1 florin, 2 shillings, I already knew that. But a crown, I didn't know what the value of a crown was made up by what other coins. I found out, as you can see, 1 crown equals 5 shillings. Now, I also found that the pound and the sovereign were the same because 1 sovereign contained 1 pound's worth of gold, 22 karat gold, which was equal to 20 shillings, which is the same as the pound, 20 shillings. The last important thing was, in 1 pound, how many pennies? And I discovered 240 pennies are what makes, are within a pound, or if you had 240 pennies you would have a pound. So once I had these important bits of information, then yeah, everything fell into place for what you're about to see on the other side of the board, which I filmed on a different night. Alright, let's flip out the other side of the board. And basically I did this whole exercise was because I realised I didn't actually know, even in asking my parents and relatives who were younger in that time, they didn't and couldn't tell me how many were in a crown, how many's in a florin, blah 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 blah. So this is what led me to this, so that I have an understanding. Alright, let's have a look. Okay, now this chart I've made up, it's for Australian pre-decimal coins and coinage. Sovereigns, sovereign, pound, half sovereign, crown, florin, shilling, sixpence, threepence, penny and half penny. And the same goes across in this direction. So for example, how many sovereigns? Put your hand on the sovereign or point to the sovereign coin. A full sovereign, it takes 1 full sovereign coin to make a sovereign. A £1 note is equal to a sovereign. 1 times a pound note is equal to a sovereign. 2 times half sovereigns makes a sovereign. 4 crown coins makes equal to a sovereign. 10 times florins is equal to a sovereign. 20 times shillings or 20 shillings makes a sovereign. 46 pence makes a sovereign. 83 pence makes a sovereign. 240 pennies make a sovereign. And 480 half pennies make a sovereign. Now that translates the same for a pound and a sovereign, as they're equal. Remember, we're not going into the depression. Market values at different time periods in Australian numismatic history. This is just the basics based on the other side of the board that I discussed earlier. Now half sovereign takes 1 half sovereign to make a half sovereign. 2 crowns to make a half sovereign. 5 florins to make 5 florins to make a half sovereign, 10 shillings to make a half sovereign, 20 sixpence to make a half sovereign, 43 pence to make a half sovereign, 120 pennies or 240 half pennies to make a half sovereign. A crown, once again put your hand there, 1 crown makes a crown. Florins, you need 2 florins plus 1 shilling to make a crown. Or 5 shillings makes a crown, 10 sixpence makes a crown, 23 pence makes a crown, 60 pennies makes a crown, 120 half pennies makes a crown. I think you're starting to get the idea of this. So a florin, 1 florin makes a florin, 2 shillings makes a florin, 4 sixpence makes a florin, 8 threepence makes a florin, 24 pennies makes a florin, and 48 half pennies makes a florin. And as you go down, I won't go any further, I think you get the gist, and this has come about from a lot of research and getting all the figures based on the facts from the other side of the board. So I hope you find this useful. I'm going to let it run just a little bit longer so you can pause and maybe do a screenshot so you can use it for your own reference and at any time. But this gives you an idea why we find so many pennies and half pennies and these lower denominations more than the rest, because these were much higher value. People hang on to them, look after them, and pennies and half pennies are much akin to the way Australians feel about 1 and 2 cent coins, especially in the hobby. I've even found them around my house because I've thrown them around at times. They just kind of mean not much at all, and they're so too with these in their day. So you can see by that end how many, it just ramps up when it comes to these higher value coins. So I'll let you just let it run just for a short few seconds, pause and take a screenshot for your own use. So now I want to look at the next part of the system when we went from pre-decimal coinage to decimal on 14th of February 1966. So we from what I've seen from the government videos that I've found on YouTube that were put on TV in the 60s, preparing everybody with the information of the changeover, the pre-decimal coins were allowed to be used for 2 years after 14th of February 1966, completely interchangeable with decimal. And I don't want to risk using screenshots, but I'm going to use from the videos the figures, and I'm going to put it on the board for you now. And I'm going to reveal something very interesting which some of you may not have thought about. A full sovereign was 20 shillings. That means a half sovereign is 10 shillings, isn't it? You can only half it. So I'm about to reveal something that some people might know and others might not. So let's jump to the other side. Okay, so now's the big reveal. In the government videos that were on TV in the 60s announcing the changes and what coins were what, this is what I've taken the information from that. So they were saying that 6 pence was now replaced with a 5 cent coin when we went to decimal. 1 shilling was equal to 10 cents. 2 shillings was equal to 20 cents. 5 shillings was equal to 50 cents. And 10 shillings was equal to $1. And 20 shillings was equal to $2. Now, if you remember from what I was saying before, how many shillings was it for a sovereign? 20. How many shillings was it for a half sovereign? 10 shillings. So from the information I can only assume that the current $1 is kind of a flashback, looking back to the gold half sovereign. Although it's not gold, it is gold in colour. So too with the 20 shillings. It stated that it was equal to $2. The 20 shillings was equal to a pound, or the sovereign. So the modern equivalent, just by looking at that, even though it's not gold, that's from the government, from what they said in the videos. So the modern sovereign is a $2 coin. And a modern half sovereign is $1. So now I ask the question again. How many sovereigns and half sovereigns have you found lately? I know I'm just going off the facts from the government videos. So, and just one last thing. What was 5 shillings? On the other side of the board, 5 shillings was a crown. What do we have? 50 cents. So the modern 50 cent is, according to the shillings, is equivalent to a crown. It's the modern crown. Well, I've learnt so much from making this video, and to be honest, I didn't really know how the Australian pre-decimal coins, how many coins of what went in to make what coins. So it's been very interesting. So alright guys, take care, good luck out there, bye for now.